But I want you guys to raise your hand if you have massively screwed up in life at any point. Like massive, like fallen on your face hard, personally or professionally. So when you look around, a lot of us have failed. But here's what happens when it's happening to you. You feel so alone, you feel so isolated in that moment, you feel like you're the only one who's ever screwed up. And that's simply not the case. But here's the thing, your version of success might be his version of failure, and your version of failure might be your version of success. Success and failure are so subjective, so personal to each and every person, that I just kind of wanted to make sure that you guys really understood that before I go into my story. Because, you know, we constantly are comparing ourselves to other people, constantly. Social media is all about who's got the most Instagram followers and who's got the most money. Like, if you haven't had the 7-figure entrepreneur on next to your name, are you even worth talking to? So, just please don't compare yourself, even as you've heard other people's stories and my story today. So, imagine for a moment, you guys are on your dining room table, okay? And you're scrolling through your phone, and you get this notification. And you see that it's an email, and on that email, it's a link to a Forbes article. And guess what? Your name is in it, and you had no idea this was coming out. Imagine the same thing happens to Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine, the Huffington Post, the Houston Chronicle, and it's just, your name is starting to get out there. You're starting to get hundreds and hundreds and thousands of social media followers, and you're kind of like, whoa, why are they even following me? This is kind of cool. Imagine for a second that you have co-authored a book, which is the biggest dream you've ever had in life, and it hits the #1 status, a bestseller status, in several of the most competitive categories. Sounds pretty great, right? Then imagine that you start an e-commerce business for the first time, and it is, you know, starts off slow, $2,000, $3,000 a month, goes to $5,000, $6,000 a month, then hits about $15,000 to $16,000 a month, and you hit your 6-figure year in the first year. No experience in e-commerce. What I'm describing to you right now happened in 2016 and 2017. And it happens to be the biggest year of failure in my entire life. Now you might be wondering, what a narcissist. You just sat down and rattled off all of your achievements and you're trying to tie this into some bullshit about how you failed? Just bear with me for a little bit, because I promise you there was a point in that little list. Because to people who see that list in a Facebook status or an Instagram post, man, you can make yourself look good if you want to. I mean, that's what I went to school for, marketing, and you can make anything look good. But actually that was the worst year of my life in so many ways. Because while all this success was happening, I was running 3 brick-and-mortar businesses. The subscription box was my 4th e-commerce business. I was working all day, every day, all night, all weekend, from the time I woke up in the morning to the time I closed my eyes at night. I didn't have a life. I really didn't have a life. I was a newlywed. My husband and I didn't go on dates as newlyweds. We worked. We packed boxes, you know? It took such a toll on our marriage. Anyone who knew us before was like, whoa, you guys were always so fun. What happened? We were on the rocks this year because all we did was work and have creative arguments about, okay, maybe the business should be run this way. Maybe the business should be run that way. It was literal hell, and I'm glad the speaker before me really touched on that, because working with someone you love can be so hard, even if they're the greatest thing in the world, which he is. But if that wasn't bad enough, I was having 2 panic attacks a week. I'm not talking like, oh, I had a little panic attack. No, I was messed up. I was out on the street at 2 a.m., barefoot, crying, and I just didn't know how to get out of this psychological, stressful hell I had created for myself. Every month, as new customers came, shipments came, products came, it was just such a nightmare on how I was going to get everything done, and I didn't see an end to it. It was a subscription box. Every month I had to do it all over again. Finally, what made it the worst was that I herniated 2 discs in my spine, which if anyone, I mean, raise your hand if you've dealt with spinal issues. They suck, okay? Man, you're going through anxiety, panic disorder, and a spinal disorder, it's like, maybe you should slow down. So what happened to me is I was sleeping on the floor for months and months, just trying to recover from everything I had gone through. I was in physical, emotional, and psychological hell, and everyone was like, oh, congrats. congrats, I heard you're doing amazing. I'm like, that's how I felt all the time. And eventually it got to the point where my family had to intervene. They were like, you are gonna destroy your health and marriage. You're gonna end up at the hospital at this rate. And I was gonna end up in the hospital or a psych ward. Okay, there was no other option. I was pushing myself beyond what any limit could possibly go to. And what ended up happening as a result of this is that eventually my parents were like, you just gotta stop. And I had to email over 750 subscribers that I had to hit pause on my business. Now you might be wondering, okay, wait, why didn't you sell it? Why didn't you find and hire some help? Whatever, if you were doing so well. There were so many roles I was taking on at that company, I couldn't outsource for each of those roles. There was too much that was going on. Then I had hit such a point of psychological stress that I couldn't go one more month. I really couldn't. I had to hit pause or I was just gonna be done. And so that was a very, very emotional day because you guys can imagine as a business owner to get one customer how much effort it takes. For 750, I put my heart and soul into getting each and every single one of them. And to send that email was probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do. But you know what? Things work out. And that's one lesson as an entrepreneur you should know. No matter how bad things get, things somehow work out. Within 3 weeks, I had an offer for that company. And we doubled or tripled our investment in it, and we got a chance to build and sell our first tech startup. It was exciting for me to sell that business. But at the same time, you can see that I walked away with so many emotions. There was the emotions of, oh my God, I had achieved XYZ, but also everything I had gone through emotionally. It took a long time to heal after that. And so for a couple of months, what really ended up happening is I took time to step back and heal my body, my mind. But what also happened is that I gained clarity. When I was working in my business, not on my business, I realized the reason that I had gotten into it is because I was so passionate about social media and how anybody can grow and start a business with social media. And I wanted to be a thought leader. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be a speaker. I wanted to do what I'm doing now. I couldn't do that if I'm trapped in a business, literally. And so being able to do this is just, it means so much because I'm finally able to really do what I want. And that gave me, like stepping out of the business gave me that clarity. So what ended up happening again after that is that I got onto social media. And you guys can see, I do have a page with over 1 million followers. I started off in August of last year, like at 10,000 followers, and I just wanted to get to 100,000. By November, this was over 1 million followers. And it's kind of insane how when you just fail and you think everything's over, the opportunities that can appear. I mean, this sure as hell opened up some doors for me after that. So what ended up happening a couple months after this is I was like, okay, maybe this social media thing is kind of working out for me now. And now I have some group coaching I do. I do one-on-one coaching with entrepreneurs. I've got a mastermind program. I consult with companies. I run ad campaigns, shout-out campaigns. Can pretty much get any Instagram account to like 10,000 followers in like a week or two. I mean, these types of skills are helpful. And now I'm really doing what I love. And the best part is I can slow down when I need to. I can ramp up when I need to. I can write when I want to. I can speak when I want to. I can meet people from over the world just like I met you. And the better part even than that, the cherry on top, is now when I make money through social media, it may not be as much as I made before, but now I don't have to pay a doctor, a chiropractor, and an acupuncturist, and a psychiatrist every single damn week. Because I finally understood the value of health. So if you take anything from this, please, there's a couple of takeaways from this. One is that you don't realize that health is wealth until you've lost your health. You don't. I'm only 27 years old. I didn't realize what it meant not to be healthy until I wasn't. And I would have thrown everything, I would have burned everything just to feel good again. So please, while you're young, while you're healthy, never ever take that for granted, and no business is worth your well-being. And number two, the last takeaway too is I don't think entrepreneurs talk about anxiety disorder as much. It's a mental condition that impacts, I don't know what the statistic is, but like 10 or 25% of the population. Imagine having an anxiety disorder, having a panic disorder, and then on top of that, running one of the most high pressure, being in the most high pressure positions of being an entrepreneur. And there's a certain point where you have to put yourself first and know that you have to design a business that works for your life. And so that's what we're doing now. We're working on passive income, working on making things easier, working on enjoying life more. And trust me, abundance comes internally. It starts inside out, not the other way around. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we'll open it up for questions.